Good day, Nigerians and lovers of Nigeria, wherever you are. We are back here tonight. We promised you we're going to be bringing you, in these working days of the week, something that looks more formal and more official. Last night, whilst we were in our program, we did say that there are speculations that the president and the candidate of APC is trying to stop FBI from releasing the files that they plan to start releasing this month. It's no longer at the realm of speculation. He has gone back to court in the US. Just as he was in the court to stop Atiku, he is currently in the court in the US to stop FBI, to stop CIA, to stop IRS, to stop DEA, to stop all the US agencies from releasing any files they have on him. I don't know his reason, but we do know that he's a public official now. And those documents are the documents of those agencies. But that is what he's in court to do now. And we're going to be bringing you the details. Secondly, back here in Nigeria, the Supreme Court was on Monday, being 23rd, start hearing the case between Labour Party, P2B, and INEC and others, as well as that of Atiku. But they will be starting with the motion of debating and arguing whether they will admit Atiku's evidence. And as you would understand, there are two major cases there. Atiku is saying, looking at the enormity and the weight of the evidence and its implication with respect to the fact that we are talking about the office of the presidency, and also that this evidence is outstanding and that it is something that he pleaded in his petition, that he is only following the rule. So he's arguing his case on the point of the law. But can you believe it? Yours truly, APC, and their candidate, the president, are going back on part of technicalities again and asking the Supreme Court to completely reject it, that they are not the courts of first instance, that they don't have the jurisdiction to actually entertain that hearing, that it is the appeal court that has the jurisdiction, even though we do know that the Supreme Court has what they call Supreme Court rules, Order 2, Section 12, subsection 1, 2, 3. We've brought it here times without number. And so these are the things we're going to be discussing with us in detail tonight. And we would like to start by, there are some commentaries we've had online today that we need to maybe just make you listen to the commentary and we align together with those commentaries. So Ifoma, can you just roll it and let's see how it goes.
So guys, this video is from Ned Media, and we really want to recognize him and also give him the credit.
Tinubu just filed a motion in a court in Washington, D.C., United States. He's seeking to become an intervener in the Freedom of Information action filed by Aaron Greenspan and David Hundeyin, a Nigerian investigative journalist, against the FBI, DEA, IRS, State Department, and other agencies of the U.S. government. Of course, you know this lawsuit. They used it to seek the release of all information that these agencies might have on Tinubu. And after some back and forth, the FBI accepted to release about 2,500 pages out of the 70,000 pages they have on Tinubu. The FBI is still on course to release 500 pages this month. They promised to be releasing about 500 per month. But now, with this new filing of Tinubu seeking to be joined, he wants to block the release of the documents. It seems he didn't learn any lesson from his failed attempt to stop the release of Chicago State University records. United States is not Nigeria. What is he going to claim this time? Privacy? Personal injury? How? No one forced him to commit a crime that necessitated the FBI investigation in the first place. His FBI files don't belong to him. They are the property of the FBI and the Justice Department. As such, he cannot stop them from releasing the files they have on him, and his lawyers must have advised him. If they did, then he's just doing it to buy time. Because if these files are released by the end of October, like the FBI promised, it should sway the opinion of the Supreme Court justices. Even if they refuse to be swayed, they can't deny later that they didn't know the extent of his criminal character. The Supreme Court justices will not in good conscience ignore these files when they are released and allow such a character to retain the position. It will be a huge burden on them. It will force them to do the right thing. It will make them understand that apart from the fact that he didn't win the presidential election in the first place, he is a huge security risk to Nigeria. He poses a great danger to Nigeria. Imagine having state secrets in the hands of such a character. Yes, the Supreme Court justices can actually do it. After all, if they sack Tinubu today, he wouldn't have any power again to retaliate. Because part of the reason some of these judges try to affirm illegalities is not just because of what might have passed under the table, but because of the repercussions from the powers that be. They might target them, they won't get promotions when due, they might even be sacked for no reason. This is Nigeria we're talking about. That's why proper separation of powers of the different arms of government must be encouraged so that no one can abuse his powers. All arms of government must be truly independent.
Yeah, Doc, let me start from here. And don't forget that there's been this allegation on the internet that the sitting president has spent so much, on the lawyers he's using in the United States. You need to see the amount of money people are calling. Because America is not a cheap country. It's not a
Oh, well,
cheap country. And this money that is being spent there, you can imagine, the equivalent in our currency in such a time like that we are in Nigeria today. So I just hope that they will see the need for them not to be taking all these unnecessary steps that will end up not yielding anything tangible.
well, legal fees, professional fees are expensive all over the Western world. They charge per hour. I know someone who had immigration problem here, and he wanted to hire a lawyer. He thought it was a joke. They told him 200 per hour. 200 per hour. Now, that is just small immigration thing. They will read this thing and write a letter for you and discuss with you. You can imagine this level of high profile case. They're probably going to be charging something in the bracket of about £10,000 per hour, $10,000 per hour. And now ask yourself how many hours this guy has accumulated in the case of the CSU and now this one. We don't even need to go to think about, was it not about $5 million that they spent within a bracket of 6 days for hotel bill alone? No, 500, is it 5 million, 500,000, yes. So they were blowing something in the bracket of about $100,000 a day for hotel bill for the United Nations General Assembly. Are we not planning to go and borrow as much as from the World Bank, something in the bracket of about $1.6 billion, whereas 360 members of the National Assembly of the House of Representatives want to buy a car for 160 million naira per car? When you convert it to dollars at the rate of 700 naira per dollar, is about $8 billion. I'm sorry, it's about $800 million. So the amount they want to borrow from the World Bank, half of it actually will buy a car for them. These guys don't care. We don't even want to go into the butchering and the balkanizing of our economy. Let's just try to focus with the substance of the case so far. Now you can see that number one, it is either this expedition is to delay the release of this document until the Supreme Court has ruled in Nigeria. That's my own thinking, because our duty here is to say, what is the mindset behind this? Will he be able to stop? Because this is based on freedom of information. And the judge who ruled had actually ruled based on the fact that indeed, this is freedom of information. You have a right to ask for it. Even here in Nigeria, some some agencies, some civil society organizations, the Freedom of Information law was signed into law by Jonathan, and since then we've been utilizing it here in Nigeria. That was why INEC was able to release some people's documents, even to Enahoro. That was why NYSC was able to release the details to Enahoro and to some other people, isn't it? Now, if our own institutions could respond to the Freedom of Information Act, you can imagine Western world like Canada, like Australia, like Germany, like France, like UK, like USA. Do you understand? And remember that this case had dragged until FBI themselves called and said, we are ready now, and we're going to give you this. So my thinking is that this expedition is to spend this much money on the lawyer so as to delay the release of this file that we've heard will be coming out probably from next week, Monday. Now, see the connection. The same next week, Monday, is when the Supreme Court will start hearing the extra evidence, the motion that Tinubu, I think there's a letter to that effect from the Supreme Court that we have, if we can show it to people, where they're saying that the case, they will begin to hear the motion on Monday, being the 23rd. Maybe, yes, that is from the Supreme Court. Maybe because the Supreme Court has eventually given these dates. That's why they moved in. They moved in to make sure that the same Monday that FBI was planning to start releasing their file, that nothing untoward hits the media, that nothing untoward, because you can trust David, when such a thing comes out, it's going to be everywhere. It's going to be flying on X, formerly known as Twitter. It's going to be on YouTube. It's going to be everywhere. So this might just be a defense mechanism to delay the inevitable, because really the Supreme Court judges are all human beings. When they begin to hear the depth, the weight, the stench, and it will only be people who are, how do I put it, who don't have feelings, that will say, despite all we know now, despite all this, let's just go ahead and endorse this person. Because like Ned Media said, which is true, what really do these Supreme Court judges have to lose if they do the needful? Head or tail, they are the winners. But they will be the heroes of this country if they stand by the rule of law and throw away anything that shouldn't be. If they remove the president, for instance, what do they stand to lose? Nothing. They will be seen as a hero in the whole world. Remember the Supreme Court of Kenya? Everybody talk about them. Now, if they retain the president, they will probably still keep their job and keep their promotion. But in the minds of Nigeria, they will always be remembered for delaying the cause of justice. Remember the judge that annulled 1993 election. You see how shamelessly he left service. Now, but if these people were to do the right thing, now the man wouldn't have the hammer again to smash their head. Am I right? Because he won't be there. He will not have the authority to smash, to stall their promotion. He will not have the control of the DSS to harass them. He will not have all those things they are afraid of. And they will receive and enjoy the praise and the support of Nigerians. They will be like that INEC that professor that was the returning officer of INEC in Abia State. You remember how she stood her ground? She stood her ground. The same money she refused, people gathered money, contributed money, raised millions for her. As she was returning to Futo, where she is the vice chancellor, she had a Prado Jeep waiting for her, gift from people. Everything she could have gotten in a fraudulent way and to deprive people of justice, she got it, and she remained the heroes of people today. Why can't these judges think like that? That at the level where they are is a win-win situation for them. However, a type of win might be the win that they will get, and they will be enjoying that particular win in regret. But the other kind of win is the win they will get, and they will be celebrated not just in Nigeria, but all over the world. Even their great grandchildren that are not born today, when they are born, they will hear of what their great grandfather did, what their great grandmother did. And they will say, when people hear the last name of their great, they'll say, oh, are you related to so and so? The likes of Adetokunbo Ademola them today, we don't even know who they are. We only know because of the imprint they made on the judiciary of this country. And when people come out and answer that name, you're like, are you related to this person? Are you related to that person? Okay, let's put it this way. You know, there was this person that helped, I think it was Dimka, that is his last name, that was the arrowhead of the coup that killed Murtala Mohammed. I read some time ago that people from his area started changing their last name, because the moment you come out with that last name, people want to associate you with, oh, you are the person who plotted to remove a good person in power. You understand? Now you can imagine when people think about the likes of the INEC chairman during the Obasanjo era, Maurice Iwu, you know, it's something people don't want to be associated with. There are all the judges that handle this particular case at the appeal court. How do you think that people are going to be proud to sit in the airport or somewhere and say, this is my last name? Do you get what I'm trying to say? So they should think about all these things and ask themselves, what is it we start to win or we start to lose? If we do this, heaven will not fall. That thing we're afraid of that thing will actually not happen. You know? So because of this particular issue that is going to be happening from 23rd, I think that is why they are going to US to jam the court in US again and now start another hearing. The judge may rule, and then they will appeal, and it will go from one level, maybe from magistrate to circuit court to 7th circuit and what have you, and continue like that just to delay. Because I think what they're trying to do is, let's get the Supreme Court to approve of us and endorse us and retain us in power. Then let the scandal continue. Whether the scandal is there or not there, nobody can remove us. So I think that may be the strategy they're trying to use here, but it's unfortunate. It has not really come out in detail, the prayers he made at the court, but what we know is that a docket has been opened and the case has been established. He's applying to be an intervener. Intervener means that, look, I am interested in this case and it will impact me somehow, so please hear my own pleading. And that is what is happening. So our ears are open. Hopefully before the close of business tomorrow, more detail, more of the facts will filter into, and we'll bring it to the hearing of our people here. All right. So that is the what is happening. So the expected release of FBI file that was supposed to be dropping from Monday, unless the judge declares that they should go on, it may or may not be. But of course, you know that in US, they work both Saturday, Sunday, they work all through. So there might be expedited hearing. And if eventually the judge rule in favor of David Hundeyin and and his team, we will still be where we are. And I pray that it happens so. I really do pray that it happens so, because anything that is going to stall this. And again, just as we keep asking, what is it? You say you're a man of integrity. You say you're a man of honesty. You say you're a man of openness. You say you're a man who wants to fight corruption. What is it you're hiding that you don't want people to see? What is it? I don't know. I really, really don't know. Okay? Thank you. So what else do we have, please?
So no, I wanted to see, is there any way the FBI will still continue with what the decision they've taken before now? Does it mean that for the fact that this lawyer has gone to file this, will I call it an appeal or a move, they will just stop?
You know, the normal thing is that they're going to apply for a stay of what do you call it? Just an injunction that will stay action. First of all, the first application they will make in the court is to say this person is an intervener and there is a court action that is supposed to be, we're asking that it will stop until you have heard what we have to say. Do you understand? It's a normal thing. So the judge will now grant that leave, saying, okay, please don't do anything yet based on the initial court order. Do not do anything yet until you've heard. It's just like when the tribunal removes a governor. The governor is not removed. The governor will appeal within a certain period of time and say, please, first and foremost, stay execution and hear me out. And that is when the appeal court will hear. If the appeal court rules against the governor, they will still not remove again because he still had another court, the Supreme Court. He will still apply again and say, stay execution and hear me out. So the very first thing I'm sure this lawyer has done is to apply for a stay of execution while they're asking to be heard.
But don't you think that even with the CSU deposition and all that Atiku was able to achieve in the USA, that we have enough evidence if really our justices really want to work in favor of the Nigerian people?
Yeah, the bigger the better, or the much the merrier. How do they say it? All these things from FBI has absolutely nothing to do with the case in the court because it was not pleaded. It's a different thing altogether. It's not even a party to the suit that is asking for this. This is purely for our own consumption.
Okay.
But like Ned Media said, the judges themselves too are human beings. They listen to the news. There are certain kind of fields that will be released in the atmosphere. Even you will be saying, wow, this is a big burden. How do we navigate through all this? Do you understand? So that's my thinking, because it has no bearing with what is happening in the Supreme Court at all. David Hunde is not a party to the suit. He did not contest election. So he has absolutely no connection. However, you know, public opinion is public opinion. Public opinion is public opinion. So
meaning that with the information we already have, like what Atiku got from the United States, if our justices really want to rule, follow the Constitution, for me, I think the president will have no chance.
Now, everything that was released by the Chicago State University, there's only one out of them that is needed in the Supreme Court. That is the final confirmation by the registrar under deposition that the certificate submitted to INEC was not authored by the Chicago State University. That is the only thing that is valid to be presented in the court. The rest is a secret that had been hidden for decades, which had now been made open to Nigeria. For instance, the GCE certificate, which was issued in 1970 by a school that was founded in 1974. It's for our consumption. It's for our knowledge. That helps us to understand that this scam did not start today. It is not something somebody mistakenly jumped into. It's not a mistake someone made because he's trying to vie for election. It has been there for more than 47 years. Do you appreciate where I'm coming from now? Now, other things, the English 222 that was not written, those information, if the Chicago State University had not released it, you wouldn't know. Other information we have, the discrepancies in the age, 1952, 1954, 1955. All those things we begin to see. If Chicago State University had not been mandated by the court to release it, you wouldn't have known that. So what that had done to you is that it has told you now who you are, who is in your seat of power. But there is only one that is needed from the court. And Atiku, I'm sure, has picked that one. Remember, they keep saying, the university say he attended. And we keep saying, attendance is not the case here. The case here is a document submitted to INEC. Was it given by the school that you, quote and unquote, attended? That is it.
Okay, so we'll move over to the Supreme Court and the hearing of the case.
Yeah.
The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has again pleaded with the Supreme Court to throw away technicalities and grant his application for leave to tender fresh evidence to support his claim that President Bola Tinubu submitted forged documents to electoral body INEC. Atiku stated this in his reply on point of law to Tinubu's objection to the grant of leave to Atiku to present the fresh evidence before the Apex Court. Atiku made his plea on the grounds that presenting forged documents by any candidate, especially by a candidate for the highest office in the land, is a very grave constitutional issue that must not be encouraged. Tinubu had made his objection on grounds of jurisdiction and that the issue of qualification is a pre-election matter amongst others, and subsequently prayed the court to deny the grant of the application. All right, technicalities or merits of the case. Okay.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Did you hear how she ended? Technicalities or merit of the case. He did not argue that the certificate he presented was forged or not forged.
Or not.
He's arguing on jurisdiction, that it is a pre-election matter. But how can a pre-election matter be handled when this same Atiku and PDP went to court and the court threw it out saying you do not have locus standi because you're not member of APC? Did you remember that? It got up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court threw it out because every pre-election matter will be between the members of the party and the candidate. Post-election matter will now be between the party and the other party because they have now contested. It means at any time you come to court, you are coming to court because you feel injured. You feel that someone took advantage of the system better than you. That is why before election, it is a member of APC that will sue another member of APC saying, oh, if the law had been followed, I probably would have been the candidate. But because he cheated, he's now the candidate. That is the logic behind the pre-election case. Now that he eventually survived and represented the party, another party can now sue and say, oh, if the law had followed, I probably would have been the person. But because this person cheated, he is the person. The logic is simple. It's a very simple logic. Because when they are saying that you don't have locus standi, they are trying to ask you, in that primary election, was your toes stepped on? No, it was the toes of other members of the party that was stepped on. So why are you coming here? Get out of our court. But when INEC had conducted the election, your toes have been stepped on. Because now, if the law were to be followed, that person won't be on the seat where he is. The person who is going to the court is saying, I could have been on the seat if not because of this cheating, isn't it? That's number one. Number two, he's saying that, okay, this could have been heard at the appeal court level. But well, it was presented at the appeal court. It was one of the prayers that if you go to the petition of the PDP and the petition of the APC, Labour Party, they had three grounds. The first ground, non-compliance to the substantial non-compliance to the Electoral Act by INEC. Number two, did not win the majority of the votes. And number three, is not qualified due to points they say they will list. So it is there in their petition. They argued it, all right? If it was not pleaded, why was it that even the court themselves were trying to say, oh, that Shetima, it was not intentional? Were those things not on the area of qualification? Now, what Atiku has done was to go and get a more additional evidence on a prayer that he had already made from the beginning of the whole case. And the Supreme Court rule 2, sub 12, subsection 1, 2, and 3, we've read it here times without number, stated that the Supreme Court says that a new additional evidence can be presented even if it has not been heard. That is Supreme Court themselves. Even if it has not been heard, they can still add it. And now stated the steps and the conditions under which they can hear it. And that was why Atiku knew the deadline, that 5th of October was his deadline. And that was what he pleaded in the court in the US. And that was why the court in the US expedited their judgment to make sure that technicality did not delay him from beating the deadline. Now we are back in Nigeria. And someone is trying to tell the judges, if someone even made a mistake in the way application is submitted, even though you can see that that thief there pulled a trigger on someone's head, simply because someone else slapped him before dragging him to court, you should let him go. We are waiting to see how those people at the Supreme Court will rule. Whether they will look, remember we talk about the mischief rule. What is the mischief rule? When a law is made, it is made because there is a lawlessness that law wants to correct. And when a judge sits to judge in a case that had to do with that particular law, that judge is supposed to bear in mind the lawlessness that law wants to correct. The question is, what integrity will our judges have when they look at Yahoo boys in the face? So any Yahoo boy that is able to hire a smart lawyer who can build on technicalities can continue in his Yahoo business. Isn't it true? Anybody that can just muster a lot of money and bully his way through and speak a whole lot of technicalities can go ahead. In fact, remember how INEC helped these technicalities? They did not supply evidence when they were supposed to supply. And the court said that they should have front-loaded it and all those things. So which means someone can actually abduct a witness, kidnap a witness, and make a witness not appear to court. And the judge will say, the witness is not here. I give this person judgment. Are you understanding what these people are trying to open us to? So it's a very deep thing. And we see how it plays out on Monday. We'll be getting the information. But it's unfortunate that Nigeria is at the place where it is today. Do you know today, whilst all this thing is happening, the effect on the economy is obvious. Naira is cratering. Today, I called a friend of mine. What's this one? I will say honorable.
You can see the National Assembly members.
Yes.
They are sitting in the boat while Nigerians are the one pushing them.
Exactly.
See them cruising and enjoying themselves.
They don't even care. They don't care at all. A Naira today is almost inching up to 1,200 per dollar. 1,200 per dollar. And yet, they are telling us that this is the best that can happen to us. Anyway, I just thought that Nigerians will know what is updates. These are the two important things we need to know. What is happening in the court with respect to the presidential election, and the new thing that is happening in the US that is capable of delaying, because I believe it will not deny it, delaying the time for this all important information we're waiting. But I know a day is a lot of time. Before the close of business tomorrow, definitely we'll get to know what's happening. All right. I don't know if you have any other thing. That's my thoughts.
Yeah,
Right?
Doc, I wanted to talk about the essence of, retiring this our political class. Honestly, the way these people are managing the affairs of Nigeria, when you look at it critically, you know that they don't really have any plan. It's as if they don't even have Nigeria at heart at all with the way things are going. So this person tweeted today and he was talking about how our political class are recycling the members. They are recycling their family members, like in the National Assembly. Look at this thing critically. You see what he wrote here. He said, ex-Governor Ibori's daughter will head House Committee NDDC. Nasuri Erufai's son will head House Committee on Banking Regulation. Ex-Governor Alao Akala's son will head House Committee on Youth in Parliament. Ex-Governor Soba's son will chair Committee on Justice, but it's the son of a nobody that was not ballot boxes and rig elections on election day. Youths wise up. So, but why I put up this, you wanted to say something?
No, go ahead, finish.
Okay, yeah. Why I brought up this is because when you look at this and the image I showed you before, you get to know that these people, they don't really care. They don't really care. And you said something about our judiciary, our judges, if they can take this bold step, knowing that if they disqualify the sitting president, it's not going to hurt them. Rather, it's going to like promote Nigeria as a country, People will get to believe in our judiciary. People will know that our judicial institution is still strong. But as it stands now, when you look at or you listen to international media, they keep saying that the tribunal gave victory or upheld the victory of the president despite all the controversies. They don't even value that judgment that was given. So you can imagine if the Supreme Court justices will still come up again to issue this kind of judgment that will be similar to what we got from the tribunal. That would be very, very bad for Nigeria as a country. So this is an opportunity again given to our judges for them to a kind of exonerate themselves and shine on the international platform. Today, there was this image of Justice Samani on the internet. He's not feeling well from the information I got. But people were like saying all sorts of things about him. Why? Because he did not give the kind of judgment Nigerians were expecting to get from him. And myself, I was just like wondering, I said, God, can people find themselves in situations like this? And when they are given opportunity to do something good, they will not do it. You can imagine if he had ruled in favor of Nigerians, by now people will be praying for him. People will be wishing him, quick recovery and all that. But go to the internet and see what people are saying about him, as if there's anything wrong with someone falling ill. So what I'm just trying to say is that these are political class. I just pray that their consciences are weak, because the way it is now, I don't even think they have Nigeria at heart. You've made mention of Naira. Naira is falling by the day. There is this video too on Twitter today. You need to see the road leading to Ore to Benin. You need to see how bad that road is. As in, nothing is working in Nigeria. There is nothing that attracts people. When people that live in the diaspora watch videos like this, how would they summon courage to go and buy tickets, flight tickets, considering the cost at the moment to start coming to Nigeria? You think of security, you think of cost of things in the market and all that. All these things are affecting, the economy directly or indirectly. So it is in the hands of our judges, the Supreme Court judges, to do the needful. Doc, I don't know if you have anything to say.
That is if and only if allowing their own sons and daughters to succeed them on the bench is no more important to them than Nigeria. Because just like the politicians are using their children to succeed them, you can see it, Erufai, you can see it, Ibori, you can see it, Alawa Akala, you can see it, all of them. Was it not last week or last 2 weeks? Yes, was it not last 2 weeks that the Supreme Court judge looked us in the face and told us that we are, I don't want to use the word he used. He literally just insulted the whole Nigerians. And in that chamber, he anointed his son a judge. What's the difference between what the politicians, in fact, the politicians can even say that my children went to the field to campaign and slog it out. People voted them. But the NJC says, please don't use your office to benefit yourself or the members of your family. And then they brought it before you. They brought it before you. You looked at it and you saw your son's name there and you ticked it. And Chidi Odenkalu said that in that same qualifying, that there were people who did not write the qualifying exams. But because they are connected to the members of the judiciary, they moved them and made them judges over and above those who qualified, which means there were those who qualified who didn't become. And there were in the other rounds people who failed. And they moved them because of their connection. And they took the place of those who passed. Politicians' own, is it not lighter? It's deep. It's deep, unfortunately. Let's just keep, I don't know how God will purge Nigeria, but it's deep. Nigerians, pray for your country. Pray for your country, okay? That's all I can.
Every prayer. We really need prayer because the way things are going in Nigeria today, there is no hope for the masses. I want to quickly share this photo. You know, this person tweeted and said, this is what APC has turned governance in Nigeria. Opportunity to mock the poor and insult the insensibilities of all Nigerians. You can see we have one SGF, 3 ministers, or shining their, he's trying to say they are shining their teeth. You can see the amount they are giving to this woman is 25K, 25,000. So he was saying that the equivalent is $20. So you can imagine the number of ministers surrounding this poor woman, you know, with the SGF trying to give her $20.
25,000 naira. If you know how much money that was spent for this ceremony, it will probably be more than 200,000, the ceremony. Because to get a pass, to get a clearance, if you know how much money that will be written off for this ceremony to deliver 25,000 naira is a shame. There was another skit, a cartoon making the rounds where the president was begging the World Bank to borrow him, I think, 1.6 billion. And the World Bank is saying, no problem. What do you want to do? He said, we want to build our economy. He said, how many legislatures do you want to buy a car for and how much? Because that money the federal government is trying to borrow, half of it is what will be buying cars for the National Assembly. When we have our own car manufacturers in Nigeria, they still want to go and buy, because you're going to still use these dollars you want to borrow to go and buy those Prado Jeeps from Japan. It's a pity. Okay, good night, people. I think that's where we draw it for tonight. Tomorrow, we hope to come with something very stronger. We hope to come with the news that all the effort in the US is quashed and that everything is still as it is supposed to be, so that we can get to know what we should know. In the absence of any other thing, I say good night to us. Ifeoma, is there anything to go?
Video bypass.
After bypass.
Jesus Christ.
Hey!
Before we use serious speed to pass here. Can you imagine? Oh yeah.
It's a pity. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. If care is not taken, if you go to the Federal Ministry of Works, this job had been completed and commissioned.
This is what Nigerians are going through. You can imagine going through this road all the time. No wonder people's lifespan keeps shortening, you know. The stress alone, seeing this alone, you watching it on the television, you can imagine how you feel. Not to talk of experiencing it live. Yeah, we all know Buhari borrowed so much money to fix some of these roads, but possibly the money ended into people's pockets and all that, the usual thing in Nigeria. Yes, they were saying that they lost some trillions of naira in contracts, fake contract. I think that's what the current CBN governor is saying. I mean, trillions.
You know what annoys me is APC is saying that APC lost. I mean, this is a party that has been in power for 8 years. And they are blaming the former government. They are blaming themselves. That's what it means. Who handed over to who? You handed over to yourself, and then you start blaming yourself. Just like yesterday when Uzodinma was campaigning for obedience anyway, he's saying that obedience is for good governance, that they should move it, which means he knew that for the past 4 years that he's not doing anything. Do you know even what I ask myself is, these fast-moving consumer good companies, how do they distribute their products? How? Like Nestle, like Cadbury, like Procter & Gamble, all those manufacturers, all those people that produce Maggi, you know, Unilever and Co. How do they distribute their product in Nigeria on this road? Using this road, because they can't fly those things, and the trains are not running. The trains, the cargo, we don't have cargo trains that will carry those things and distribute across Nigeria. So the factories they have in Ogun State, how do you buy Maggi in Kano State? How do you buy Cowbell sachet milk in a place like Taraba? How do they move Tom Tom from Ikeja, Abara Industrial, is it the industrial estate there? How do they move it from that industrial estate there in Ikeja to a place like Enugu? And that tells you that for them to break even and declare profits, that small school girl that is buying that Tom is paying for this road. So that Tom that is sold for 50 naira could have actually gone for 10 naira. But because Nestle have to calculate the trouble for their trucks, the quantity that got lost, the problem of the driver, the amount they used to sort the police, the mopo they hired to provide security, everything will come down to the one Tom coming from Cadbury, or coming from Unilever, or coming from Procter & Gamble. I've not even talked about the energy, the diesel to run this truck, because as this truck is trapped here, the engine is on and fuel is burning. The engine is on and fuel is burning. And remember that the industry where they produce those things, they use generator to produce it. Yeah. Good night, all Nigerians. We meet tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you, Doc, for your contributions. Thank you, viewers, for being a part of today's live show. We appreciate you. Please do well to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell for future updates. Thank you and good night.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.